Hi guys, Freddy here, back with another retro RPG. And before I go on to the results of this week's poll, I'd like to comment on one of the comments on the last poll. Somebody noted that it always seems to be the fifth option which wins the poll. Which it doesn't, although the fifth option has won far more often than any other option. In fact, it's won more often than all the other options put together. But I think it's down to the fact that we're voting off the most popular option each time. So the ones which aren't very popular are hanging on in there and receiving less votes. Now, I don't mind that. I do like the irony of some games just hanging on in there for a very long time. But I do note that perhaps it is that people just vote for the very last thing they see. So those are getting more votes than they should get. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to rearrange the options slightly. I'll scramble the ones which are hanging on, the 4 which lost this week, and the new option when I add it, I'll put it in probably at position 2, and we'll scramble everything up and we'll see if that makes any difference to the way the polling works. I don't think it will, but on the case that I'm wrong, I'm willing to give it a try. But back to this week's poll. And the winner is, with 51% of the vote, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. Now, this I haven't had a long time. I picked it up along with the After the Bomb, the post-apocalyptic sourcebook for the game, because it's something I've always kind of wanted. I really did like Turtles when they came out. I went off them a bit when they became the kids' show. Over here in the UK, they were Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because ninjas were too violent for the kiddies. But I liked Turtles originally. The original graphic novels I bought and I really enjoyed. So I kind of wanted the role-playing game. I just went off them when it became a kids thing. Now, I've remained a bit of a fan of them. I've remained over the years a massive fan of Usagi Yojimbo, the role-playing game I've covered a couple of times, or different versions of the role-playing game I've covered a couple of times on the channel. And Usagi Yojimbo and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are kind of linked together. They guest in each other's stories once in a while because they are both anthropomorphic animals. But let's go over to the desktop and have a look at the game. And so this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, the 1985 role-playing game by Palladium Games. Now, it was published up until the year 2000 when Palladium gave up the license, and predates the animated series by 2 years, because that came out in 1987. And apparently Palladium Games and the authors were not massively pleased by the animated series making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles much more targeted towards kids, because they liked it when it was a more grown-up adult comic, something that cool teenagers would read, not when it was something for the kiddies. And I can totally understand that, because it's one of the reasons why I didn't particularly like Turtles after the TV series came out. It just wasn't cool anymore. And that apparently had massive problems for Palladium Games, because this role-playing game was selling like 50,000 copies a year up until the TV series came out, and then its sales dropped to about 5,000 a year. Now, apparently Palladium have considered picking up the license again and redoing the game if the newer movies had been successful and successfully taken it to a more grown-up audience once again. But they haven't done, so this has remained out of print. Now, a comment in one of my videos a couple of weeks ago is by somebody who doesn't like it when I just read from the back cover word for word. They say they skip over it. Well, good news for you. There's just an image on it. A very lovely Eastman and Laird picture of the turtles themselves. So let's go into the book. Now, it's getting a little aged. The glue is cracking, so I'm going to be a bit tender about the way I handle it. Now, this is a third printing from 1986. So it predates the television series. And that makes a massive difference. When we come on to the Insanities section, I will explain further. So, got the intro page here, and we get into the text. And it looks a bit dated. There's lovely artwork, although it is all slightly stippled, as it's been scanned in digitally, I guess, by the technology of the time. And the font is maybe monospaced, but it looks very as if it's been run out by an old dot matrix printer or something. It really does show its age in publishing standards. Now we go through the usual sections: random character generation, how to play a role-playing game, setting up the scenes, glossary of role-playing terms, animal characters, how to create a character, hit points. Now, of course, this uses the Megaversal rule system. So this is compatible with most of the other Palladium games, whereas there are other superhero games, which makes a lot of sense, because the turtles are superheroes, but it's also compatible with Rifts. So if you were playing a game of Rifts, then you could have a Turtles character stagger through one of the Rifts from their world and take part in the game of Rifts. It's one of the points that I really do like about Palladium games, that you can mix and match quite nicely. It does expand all the universes great. So we've got random selection of different races or animals that we are playing a mutated version of. Although obviously if you're creating a character, you can choose your own. We've got cause of mutation, so you can randomly roll on them. Now, was it a random mutation? Accidental encounter? Deliberate experimentation? Were you raised in the home of a researcher as a pet? Brought up as an experiment? Educated and trained as if the character were a normal human? Lots of options here. Biological energy points, so how much mutated you are. Growth level steps. Rounding out your character. So you've got alignments using the Palladium selection of alignments, so not just good, evil, chaotic, lawful. You've got scrupulous, principled, unprincipled, anarchist, miscreant, aberrant, diabolic. We've got the experience point tables here. And then we're on to the insanities, which I mentioned. You see, the insanity tables were massively cut down after 1987. Firstly, by just putting a white sticker over these tables, but later by actually editing them out. And apparently copies which have these insanity tables in them are worth a premium, which I'm shocked at, because I didn't know I was getting a better copy, but I do have all the insanity tables here. And the reason these were edited out was because after 1987, obviously, kiddies started picking up the game. And rolling for a random insanity and picking up paedophilia, homosexuality, transvestitism, masochism, sadism, necrophilia, nymphomania, wasn't going down popular with the parents. As well, I can see why, but I really do think that they perhaps didn't choose it terribly well, because I really don't think being a nymphomaniac hybrid dog or mutant dog, I could see you putting that into a role-playing game, but it does seem a bit sketchy. I'm not a fan of that idea. Well, what else have we got here? Cures for insanity, effects of alcoholism, withdrawal symptoms, education and skills, so all the skills. Detailed very briefly each one. Hand-to-hand combat, which obviously will be a big part of a game with Ninja Turtles in the title. Martial arts. We've got equipment, which is a kind of spy-type equipment. So you've got infrared goggles, computers, radar signal detectors, letter bomb detectors. Probably based on the equipment lists out of their superhero game. Jetpacks, electro-adhesive pads, spacesuits, tension bars, lockpicking kits, acids, explosives, grenades. Then we're on to the animal section. Psionics are a part of the world, so you can have different psionic abilities, and then we've got the animal powers, because obviously if you're playing a goat mutant, then you will have horns. So it tells you what you get. If you're playing a crab mutant, then claws are a natural weapon. We've got digging, tunneling, excavation, extra limbs, heightened senses. Notes on animal descriptions. So we have the various types of animals. Do you want to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Aardvark? We've got alligators, apes, armadillos, badgers, baboons, turkeys, owls, a duck. What else we got here? Boars. Because it details each of them with human features as they mutate and become more human, I keep misreading that human is one of the options, but obviously it's not. We've got different canines. Canine fox. I thought foxes weren't counted as canines. They're not canines, they're... Oh, I've forgotten. What else we got? Elephant. We've got different felines here. Vulpine. That's what it is. I knew I'd come back to it. Foxes are vulpines. What else? A mutant frog. A mutant mole. Horses. Minks. Porcupines. Some of these really seem more suited. I can definitely imagine somebody playing a mutant porcupine rather than playing a mutant moose. But I see no reason for not including all of these in here. We've got pigs, rabbits, raccoons, rhinoceroses, rodents, sheep, skunks. That seems like an obvious one as well. Wolverines, weasels, squirrels, and of course, turtles. Then we've got a comic book from Eastman and Laird. Basically a short story of the turtles going out at Halloween. They put on different outfits. There's one of them obviously supposed to be like Geiger's alien. But they get in a fight, their costumes get destroyed, and they go as themselves, and everybody thinks they are brilliantly disguised or brilliantly in costume. We've got the combat section, detailing all the rules for combat. Different weapons, recovery from damage, obviously. Ancient weapons. So various ninja-style weapons. So Nadachi, Shuriken, Nunchaku, Wakizashi. Then we've got modern weapons, because obviously it takes part in the modern world. So different machine guns, assault rifles, shotguns. Then we've got a Games Master section, going through roughly how to create adventures, design them. Just a few ideas. And then we've got a bunch of adventures. I very much like that games used to introduce you to the hobby by giving you a bunch of adventures to Games Master through. So we've got Caesar's Weasels, the Terror Bears. And I have to say, I do love their open-top skulled logo. Pain Bear, Fear Bear, Doom Bear, Nightmare Bear. Yeah, the Care Bears, but terror versions of them. Dr. Feral, the genius of Biospawn. What else we got? Terror on Rural Route 5. The Leg of the Ninja. Then we've got stats. So we've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stats themselves. The origin story of the Turtles. Just a couple of pages there. April O'Neil. Casey Jones. The Foot Clan. The Shredder. What else we got? TCRA Aliens. And then, who's this last one? Fred Hamster. So, that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness role-playing game. They brought out a bunch of source books. The only one I've got is the After the Bomb post-nuclear holocaust source book. But they brought out a bunch of fantastic source books which really fleshed out the setting and added in lots of other really off-the-wall crazy ideas to the game. And that's kind of how it should have been played. It was supposed to be a bit silly, a bit fun, rather than a serious game. And it's really quite sad that the kids' cartoon robbed the game of that. I think role-playing as a hobby would be a bit richer if this game had lasted on with just a bit of silliness added to the hobby. But anyway, I think I've ranted on for quite long enough. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, as it does me massive favours with the YouTube algorithm. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.